Jump into our three pack. We talk about it all the time, and Nick and I talk about it all the time on our orientation. As real estate professionals, real estate agents, we are the CEOs of our own business. We are real estate entrepreneurs. And I remember going through the process in 2002 to get my real estate license, just like everybody else. 90 hours back then, it was required that you were there,
Yeah.
in the classroom, and took me 3 times to pass that stupid school test, but did it. And then took my national and state test, and then went down to the board and like, oh my gosh, now I got to go get refinance my house because I got to pay my dues and MLS and all this stuff. So all said and done. And I remember day one sitting at the office thinking, I hope nobody comes in here and asks me to help them buy and sell a house because I don't got a clue what I'm doing, right? So real estate school doesn't really teach us a lot about really how to run our business. So I wanted to talk about 3 different areas that might not be the norm. You don't often see classes in these areas, but things that we can study through, through books and podcasts and things like that. So the first one, I think it's really imperative that we as real estate agents really study the concept and the art of entrepreneurship, because that's what we do. Again, we are the CEOs of our own business. We are running our own business, and so I love to spend time, reading stories or watching. I watch a lot of documentaries about just successful entrepreneurs and business owners, because they often have the same story, the same path, 80, 90 hours a week, putting in just to get their business up and running. And you take a look, and I love to really examine and take a look at the things that they've had to overcome, because there's a story there's a message for us. And I love studying stories about business creations. Where did businesses come from? Because again, that is what we do. And then I think, for a lot of agents, they go like, well, why wouldn't I study leadership? What would be the point of really becoming a really great leader? And I was thinking, as a team leader, I have 20 agents on my team. So there's obviously that pressure to be a strong leader. But we still have what we call our cabinet. We still have our loan officers. We still have our title reps. We still have all of these people that make our business run. And it's imperative that we learn how to lead.
Absolutely. A couple of things that came to mind was 3 Feet from Gold, Sharon and Greg's book, how the principles of exactly what we're talking about, executives, what are the leading executives across the world? That was a follow-up to Think and Grow Rich. And they found that there was a new equation in it, which I'm not going to ruin it for you. Go read the book. But again, that was a great book. And so when you think about looking at your real estate career, the biggest issue is the person you're looking at in the mirror. You don't need to worry about having a pretty office. You don't need to worry about having all the tools and the trade.
Because my office is a mess.
No, you don't. You need to, you basically have to constantly and fundamentally have to improve the person that you look at in the mirror every single day. And so leadership, though, which is the one I wanted to point in on, people think, oh, well, I'm not going to have a team. I'm not going to have, to manage people. If you don't understand leadership, you don't understand sales. Yeah. Because sales is leadership. You are positioning people to come to the realization of exactly what you would have loved to have been able to have told them all by themselves. And you have to put them in that position.
Yeah, we could talk about this for a very long time. I think we said that a lot. This is a fantastic topic, but and I don't know what the other points are, Mike. You guys probably should have looked when you sent them over to me. But I think mindset is another really big deal. So if that's not 1, 2, or 3, but that goes in hand with leadership. Your mindset is what makes you that leader, and I think that's a really good point. A lot of agents don't understand getting into the business because there's different levels, right? Maybe you don't want to be a team leader. You don't want to do 50 to 100 transactions a year, and that's fine. But even if you're doing 5 a year, you are at the helm of those 5 transactions. People are putting their faith in you. And Todd, you said it, leadership is sales. You're telling people that you're going to navigate this incredibly difficult, complicated process for them. You have to have communication skills. You have to have mindset. You have to be able to lead people through this journey. And it's a big deal to look and read those things. And Mike Todd, we talk about books all the time. There's a pretty common core after you read a handful of them. And so
Exactly.
pick your favorite person that's out there writing books, and I just
Good
start
point.
kind of digging into it. And Audible is my favorite thing in the whole world. So you have time to read, listen to them while you're driving around. I know Mikey makes calls, but it's a great time for you to be able to listen to books.
Well, and I think you can also localize it. I know there's many agents that are part of business networking groups, whether it's a BNI or whatever the case is. And sometimes I think that we fail to see the true value. We look at these as
That's a good point.
lead generation
That's a really good
tools,
point.
which that's really the intent of them at the end of the day. But there's some incredible networking opportunities. I would, and I'm part of I'm part of a pretty large one. But I spend more time. I don't even necessarily go or participate to generate business because there's got to be about 3,200 other realtors in here
Yeah.
in this group. But it's the caliber of people, the caliber of the other business owners and entrepreneurs that are part of this group, and trying to schedule a lunch or a coffee and just hear their story. If
Yeah.
you know somebody who's a successful business owner, learn their story, and because again, there's a lot of stuff to learn from them. Number two is my favorite, is marketing. You are the chief marketing officer of your own company. I think this is one of the biggest areas where we as agents fail, because we might have gotten into this business, we may not have a marketing background, or we may not have somebody on our team that understands marketing, but you are the CMO of your own company. Don't just do what every other agent is doing. When you are doing what every other agent is doing, you are nothing but boring and average. And so you have to learn about marketing, and don't just use everything your title company gives you.
Right.
Because what your title company is giving you,
They're
giving
giving everybody
else. So don't be afraid to change the content and so forth. But whoever you're talking with, and I'm going to probably, Nick, get in a little bit of trouble here.
Great. I give me a heads up.
Okay, yeah, I'm giving you a heads up right now. When we're having discussions with people, I guess maybe in title companies and lending companies, or whatever the case is, what is their marketing background? What is their marketing experience? Because just because I give you the title of marketing rep does not necessarily mean that you understand the ins and the outs and the ABCs of marketing. So spend time studying effective marketing techniques and strategies, and look what other companies are doing, and again, mastermind with other business owners and people who are marketing. As you guys know, Ryan and I we're getting ready to launch our podcast, and I'm telling you, there's a lot about marketing. I thought I learned, I thought I knew about marketing, but all of a sudden I'm now on TikTok. I don't even know what that is still, and I'm having to do this Instagram thing. I'm having to create this Linktree page, and I'm having to do all of these things that I'm definitely not as familiar with. But the team around me, the people that I've built relationships with who are
Absolutely.
running successful podcasts, that I can pick up the phone, and it's a couple times a week going, how do I do this? Or what are your thoughts on this? And what are your thoughts on that?
I love that, because two heads are better than one, three heads are better than two. It just makes total sense. But I'm going to take marketing here, and I'm going to take the part where you said just don't do everything everybody else is doing. I'm going to go back to leadership and tie it in, because if you're improving yourself, when you're in a room and there's 3,200 other realtors there, what are you saying when you open your mouth? Or does it start limiting the consumers who want to use you? This is one of those things. And this is just Todd, but Todd adopted years ago that in 2012 that I wanted everything to be about home ownership or about private property rights. And that's what I was going to start pining on. That's what I was going to start learning about and making sure I kept my consumers and my clients up to date on. Okay, that was my niche. But when I was in a room of people, Michael, and I opened my mouth and I started talking about why national flood insurance, why they need to call their politician and help drive that down the road, why they need to stop the transfer tax, why they need to do different things, all of a sudden you involve them and they say, wait a minute, that's not the same caliber person that I just talked to that wanted to list my house the other day. So from a leadership perspective, that's also leadership. When you open your mouth, what are you saying that's different, that's industry related, that's driving people to want to do business with you?
Yeah. And Nick, there's obviously, I know you love reading books in marketing. There's a lot of great stuff. So the latest book that I've been going through, and it actually has really made a huge impact for me. It's called This is Marketing by Seth Godin. And it's some of it's just a reminder of what I already know, but a lot of it is just really honing in and going, okay, I've really got to craft my message here. One of my other favorite books. I should have listed a couple of my favorite books on here. Building Your Story Brand by Donald Miller was probably, I would say, the game changer for me. But there's a lot of great stuff out there, and it's an area that we as agents really don't explore.
There's a tremendous amount. Again, it's kind of picking what your passions are, what resonates with you. And that's, I think, a lot of realtors get into the paralysis by analysis situation when it comes to marketing. You can easily overthink what you're trying to do and get nothing out there. So the big thing and this is why, Gary Vaynerchuk is probably the one that I would focus on the most. He's a little crass, but he definitely gets the message out.
He's got a potty mouth.
A little bit, but it's just do it. Just yes. Every question you have, yes, yes, yes. Aaron Lacey, who was a title rep, I'm not sure where he's at now, but he's fantastic when it comes to technology and marketing. And he actually got interviewed by Gary, and he was asking him questions. And every time he asked a question, should I do this or should I do that? He just kept saying yes. Just go do it.
Yeah,
Don't overthink it. You'll figure it out as you go. And then people get to, again, walk on that path with you as you learn and you become that business. People that started with you earlier that caught on, they get to kind of see your evolution and they have more skin in the game, because that's what a lot of people want to work with today. They want to work with brands. They want to work with people. They don't want to work with giant corporations. They want a person who's got their like-mindedness in their business, and that's where you're going to see success when it comes to what you're marketing.
Yeah, and that's a great topic in itself. Start with, you can even Google it. How do I build a brand?
Yeah.
Am I just going to be an agent, or am I building a brand? What are the nuances to building a brand? And just again, I probably spend predominantly the majority of my reading time and studying marketing, because if the marketing isn't there, the message isn't there, then guess what's not there? The business is not there.
I think Find Your Why or Find My Why. Simon Sinek has written a couple of books on that topic, and that's a really big starting point for a lot of people.
All right, and then the third one I think is probably one of, if not the most important. You talk about the thing that they do not teach you in real estate school, that most of us do not have the training, and that's just simply in sales. Why we as agents aren't, taking classes and taking trainings on learning and mastering our craft when it actually comes to sales. And there's obviously tons of books and podcasts on the area of sales, but and sales is that next thing from marketing. You got to get the message out. But when you now have somebody on the phone, or you have them sitting across the table at a listing presentation, or you're sitting across the table of a potential buyer and you've got a buyer broker agreement in hand, or whatever the case is, or you're going through the process of showing homes. And I recently was working with a couple last weekend. I showed them some homes and put in an offer. Then we going through the counters, and then they started taking a closer look at the numbers, and they started flip-flopping. And I had to put my sales hat on and basically saying, listen, to Matt's earlier point, when rates drop, you're not getting this house for what we're going to get it for right now. Here are the numbers. And they're predicting home prices to go up by 24% over the next 5 years. So I'm just telling you, I'm not going to tell you what you have to do, but I'm just telling you, this is what's on the table. This is what you stand to lose, but it's part of sales. You got to learn how to sell.
Well, and for me, a lot of times the sales process is knowing whether you're successful. If what you're producing today, doing a particular activity, are you getting at least the average return? Because that tells me, all right, I got this. I'm either doing it and I'm getting average returns. Okay, I'm no better than anybody else. Or I'm doing it and I'm crushing it. And all of a sudden I got these numbers that are far better than whatever that benchmark is. Or I'm doing this activity that takes time away from my life, my family, every other thing, a better lead generating idea. and I'm way below the benchmark. So if you don't have an idea of what activity you're going to do and what you should be getting for a standard return, I don't know how you judge what you're doing.
I find it amazing, Nick. It's been several years, but every once in a while, I love going to a good old fashioned timeshare presentation. The watching them, and I'll call it manipulate. We're not here to manipulate our clients, but watching them take me from I'm showing up with my feet dug into the ground. I am not walking out of here with a timeshare, and they know how to sell. Same thing. How many times we walk into a car lot and go, I'm not here to buy anything, and then next thing you know, we got a car.
Yep. I think that the big thing on the sales side is just what to say and how to say it. And a lot of agents, again, it's that they get terrified to get on the phones or to knock on doors or to wear their name badge and have real estate related conversations because they just don't know how. I mean, we have teams and coaches that can teach you through that stuff, but we also have the Pro Start series. And I'll be completely honest, the feedback on Pro Start, I love it to death. It's a little bit old school. We're watching someone who's dressed in a 3-piece button-down suit that was cool back in 1994 talk about sales tactics, and he's got a rotary telephone and he's sitting at his kitchen table and he's making calls. Yeah,
it's the same.
It's the same, and that's the point.
Basics
Everything what he is saying, everything that he is teaching is sales. So if you're kind of sitting around and you're not 100% sure how to start that conversation, ProStart happens every single month at West USA. We have lots of coaches, and there's a lot of people who will walk you through that process, but there's definitely ways to learn, and it's a learned thing. Sales is a learned thing. You have to, it's an attribute. It's not something you're born with.
Is learned a word?
I believe so.
Okay, I thought it was learned, but I'll go with learned. I'll go with you on that.
What was that thing that was on Facebook recently? It said something like, it had something to do with it. Oh, geez.
Anyway,
that's it. Forget it. That's over.
And the last thing I'm going to say about sales, especially in today's market, and I know on our team, we spend so much time talking about how to overcome objections. Mm-hmm. That really is what we have to perfect in our craft. When your client doesn't want to jump in the game because rates are so high and they're fearful of the recession or they're fearful of inflation numbers or whatever the case is, part of sales, Todd, you got to know how to overcome those objections.
Yeah, totally agree.
Learned is a word.
Learned.
Yeah,
it's learned,
no, it is.
not learned.
It's right here, learned.
You can say it either way. You from Boston or are you from Chicago?
It's got the thing that.
Okay. Anyways, Nick is our grammar king over here, so
that's scary.
Fantastic. I can't wait for Friday the awards banquet to watch you just go up there and make up words. That's pretty much what I do. But if you say it with confidence, people buy it.
Exactly.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
Sales 101, Mike.
Yep. That is our 3-pack, things that we should be learning about. All right.